Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Football Betting Series here on YouTube Premier League Edition. We ended December in fine fettle with a perfect 6-0 record last episode. Our monthly total up to 18 wins, 7 losses with a single push, and a monthly profit of £197.90. Adding that to the previous month's data, the series stands at 72 wins, 24 losses with 7 pushes, and £810.18 worth of profit. One quick disclaimer before we get into today's episode, and that's my picks today do not include the midweek fixtures of the 30th and the 1st of January. So in terms of form and league positions, they may vary by the time you're watching this video. Without further ado, let's get into it. Our first pick sees 3rd placed Aston Villa playing host to 17th placed Nottingham Forest. And Aston Villa, they picked up a win in their last match against Chelsea. The Blues were in total control in the first period as they limited Aston Villa to 0 shots in the first half, and as such it probably wasn't too much of a surprise when João Pedro puts Chelsea 1-0 ahead in the 37th minute. However, half-time came around and this break really damaged Chelsea's flow in the game as the second half was all Aston Villa. They would make a comeback with a brace thanks to Ollie Watkins, with his contributions in the 63rd and 84th minute to complete the turnaround and snatch all 3 points on the road. In terms of form, that victory for Aston Villa means it's 8 in a row in the Premier League and 11 in a row across all competitions coming into this match. In terms of games played at Villa Park, they have won each of the last 7 in a run dating back to late September. They host a Nottingham Forest side who were bested by Manchester City in their last game. After a goalless first half, it was City that did make the breakthrough in the second period with Reinders. Amari Hutchinson would level the affair around about an hour into the game for Nottingham Forest, and despite them trying to hold on to their point, their defence would be broken once again in the 83rd minute when Ryan Cherki scored the winner for Manchester City in the 2-1 defeat for Forest. In terms of form, it's now back-to-back defeats for Nottingham Forest, and away from home, they've also lost each of their last 2 games. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the last encounter took place back in April. A quick-fire double from Rodgers and Marlon in the 13th and 15th minute put the Villains into a strong lead early on. In the second period, substitute Jota Silva would peg one back for Forest, but that would be the end of the scores, as the final score did finish 2-1 to Villa. Numbers-wise, this probably was the correct result. Whilst the game was fairly evenly contested, Aston Villa did generate a higher quality of chances and may even have a case for scoring a 3rd goal as their contributions added to 3.03 xG. My prediction for today's game is that Aston Villa come into this one on the back of simply fantastic form. They're hosting a Forest side who have struggled of late with consecutive losses, so for me it's a simple question of Aston Villa should be winning this game. Odds-wise, we're also getting quite a nice price on an in-form Aston Villa side, which did give me a bit of pause for thought for a second. I did wrestle with laying Forest for this one around about the 1.3 mark, but let's start the new year off with a bang and with some confidence. I'm going to back Aston Villa to win for a full stake here in bet number 1, and the first bet of the new year. Our second selection is a relegation scrap, and it sees 20th place Wolves playing host to 18th place West Ham. And I'm getting a bit tired of saying this now, but Wolves lost their last game in the Premier League, this time against Liverpool. 2 goals in as many minutes from Gravenberch and Wirtz saw Liverpool secure a 2-goal lead going into the break. Wolves did manage to get on the scoreboard thanks to Bueno, but this would be a consolation goal as the final scores would finish 2-1 to Liverpool. In terms of stats, whilst Liverpool had the better of the game, Wolves weren't completely outclassed according to the numbers, and perhaps a narrow defeat was the fitting result. In terms of form, it's 11 straight defeats for Wolves in the Premier League, and when we take a look at their home form, they've lost each of the last 5 matches in a row, with no win in their 9 games at Molineux. They host a West Ham side who lost to the hands of Fulham in their last Premier League game. After a match where Fulham slightly edged the numbers, their efforts did pay dividends as Raul Jimenez popped up in the 85th minute to score the goals-only game in the 1-0 win for the Cottagers. In terms of form, that result means it's 3 losses in a row for West Ham. They're also winless in their last 7 Premier League games, and it's this poor run of form that's seen them drop into the relegation zone. When we take a look at their away record, West Ham have failed to win each of their last 7 road games. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, we can see that the last match between these sides took place back in August in the EFL Cup. Wolves managed to win by 3-2 thanks to a Strand Larsen brace towards the end of a game, in truth, when we look at the numbers, was the best we've seen Wolves play so far this season. They won out on every major win predictor statistic and put together a total of 3.03 XG against West Ham. That win for Wolves made it back-to-back wins over the Irons, with West Ham winning each of the last 3 Premier League games before then, so really it's a bit of a mixed and fairly even head-to-head record. My prediction for today's game is that both sides come into this one on the back of losing streaks and really poor form records, which goes a long way to explaining why both the sides start this match in the relegation zone. Now, despite Wolves coming out ahead in the recent encounter, it's really not enough for me to move the needle here and think about backing them, but I am looking at both teams to score, and here's why. Wolves have failed to keep a clean sheet in each of their last 14 competitive fixtures, whereas West Ham, they failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 15 games. So the question is, can either of these sides score? And I'm also leaning towards yes, and I'm thinking both teams to score. Wolves have seen both teams to score in 3 of their last 4 Premier League games, and when we filter by their home form, we've got 2 contrasting stories. Both teams to score have come in 1 of the last 4 encounters, which isn't great, but 5 of 9 overall isn't terrible. Whereas West Ham, they've seen both teams to score in 3 of their last 5 Premier League games, and away from home that record gets even better, both teams contributing in 4 of their last 5 road matches. Finally, when we take a look at the head-to-head records, we can see that both teams to score has come in 3 of the last 4 meetings across all competitions, and filtering by matches played at Molineux, we can see that 2 of the last 3 encounters have seen both teams find the back of the net. All of this is leading me towards both teams to score, but I don't trust either of these sides, so whilst I will be backing both teams to score, I'll only be allowing myself to go for a half stake in bet number 2. Our third and final pick in today's episode sees 16th place Leeds United playing host to 6th place Manchester United. And Leeds, they shared the spoils with Sunderland in their last game. Simon Adingra opened the scoring for the Black Cats, and they would hold on to that lead until the interval. However, it would be Dominic Calvert-Lewin that levelled the scoring for Leeds to rescue a point for the Yorkshire side in this one. When we take a look at the numbers though, we can see that perhaps Leeds were hard done by to only earn a point in this match. They dominated the game by the numbers, and with an XG of 2.17, perhaps there's a case to be argued that they could have scored a second. In terms of form, that draw for Leeds means they are now unbeaten in their last 5 Premier League games. And when we filter by home record, we can see that they are without a loss in their last 3 matches at Ellen Road. Now, they host a Manchester United side who managed to pick up a win against Newcastle in their last game. Patrick Dorgu's volley from the edge of the box put the Red Devils ahead at the interval, and in the second half they really sat back and dared Newcastle to break them down. When we take a look at the numbers, we can see that in the second period the Magpies held 76% of the ball and generated 13 shots to Manchester United's 3. However, it was rather disappointing to see from a Newcastle perspective that they could only muster 1.06 XG in their search for an equaliser. Still, Manchester United managed to hold on and deserve credit for doing so, securing the 1-0 win. In terms of form, it is 1 win, 1 draw and 1 defeat for Manchester United in their last 3 Premier League games. And when we take a look at their away form, the recent loss to Aston Villa did break a 5-game unbeaten run on the road. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the last encounter between these sides took place in February of 2023. The Red Devils left it late to pick up a win with goals from Rashford and Garnacho in the 80th and 85th minute respectively to pick up a 2-0 win. This fixture did have a slight smash and grab feel to it, as it was actually Leeds who generated the higher quality of chances with 16 efforts and a combined XG of 1.81. As such, they were perhaps unlucky not to have scored at least 1 goal of their own. And in terms of the longer form, that win for Manchester United added to a 9-game unbeaten streak over their historic rivals, with Leeds' last win coming back in September of 2002. My prediction for today's game is that Leeds are in a decent patch of form, and they've come up with a couple of shocking results recently, whereas Manchester United, with 1 win, 1 draw and 1 defeat in their last 3, are rather unpredictable right now. And this unpredictability is leading me away from backing the side that is considered the favourite, and instead I'm looking at goals in this one. Leeds have seen over 2.5 goals in 8 of their last 10 Premier League games, and when we filter by home form, we can see that this mark has been reached in each of the last 7 home matches. Whereas Manchester United, they have seen over 2.5 goals in 3 of their last 4 Premier League matches, and away from home we can see that 3 goals have been scored in each of the last 7 games as well. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, we can see that over 2.5 goals have come in 3 of the last 4 encounters, but we may need to take this particular statistic with a pinch of salt, given that both Manchester United and Leeds are much changed since their last competitive meeting back in 2023. All of this considered, I will be backing over 2.5 goals for a full stake here in bet number 3, the final bet of today's episode. So there we have it, 3 picks in today's episode, starting off with Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest. We're going to be backing the home side at odds of 1.8, a £50 stake to return £42.50. Also on the Saturday, we have Wolves versus West Ham, where I'm backing both teams to score at odds of 1.72, £25 half stake to return 18, and wrapping up today's episode, the early kickoff on the Sunday, Leeds versus Manchester United, I'm backing over 2.5 goals at odds of 1.74, a £50 full stake to return 37. So across the weekend, we're going to be risking £125 to hopefully pick up as much as £97.50. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to tune into the next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. And as always, have yourself a lovely day.